All right, it's been a while, but hey, welcome back to another episode of the Sam Houston Sports Talk podcast. As you know, it's Collin, Neill, and Luke Scott, as always. Luke, I gotta say, man, to lead off, congratulations, my man. You are now officially an alum of Sam Houston State University.
Colin, I'm so glad to finally be a part of the crowd there. I'm in multiple group shots where it has Sam Houston alumni besides Luke. I'm just in there. But now I can officially say I have graduated. It feels very nice.
Let's go ahead and get started. I was out there at training camp. You and I were kind of doing a lot of talking before leading up to the training camp for Sam Houston football because there's a lot of questions still to be answered. There's still a lot of spots on the depth chart that are still being battled for, including the QB position. But training camp is all you have to take it with a grain of salt sometimes because they're face they're facing each other. It's not like you're facing another team. They're facing each other. So they may not be going at 100%. And also the other team is obviously the defense is familiar with the offense and the offense is familiar with the defense in a way. And obviously with NFL training camp also going on at the same time, you'll see people overreact to a grainy training camp clip of I don't know Ezekiel Elliott going down on his hands and knees, even though he clearly got hit in the family jewels as he was running through that that obstacle. I don't even know what you call that thing, and people overreact. So all in all, the lesson here is don't things take things with a grain of salt. But I saw a lot of things out there, Luke. Um, when it comes to Sam Houston, I think things are now starting to thin out, starting to like become very clear. But what what do you think of this year's training camp? What are you hoping to get out of this year when it comes to that?
Well, obviously training camp is kind of the first look at all the guys being in pads and going, pretty close to full steam, right? And so that's the main thing is getting back into just that game game mode, right? That game shape. That's what it's really about. It's the first kind of look into that, but really you're just looking forward and looking from the whole squad uh, competition throughout all years, all the different positions, both sides of the ball. Freshmen trying to play good, seniors doing their thing. That's really what you want to see um, from training camp. And you've been at training camp and you can talk to more about that. But really, you just want to see the guys getting back at it and seeing some real football, right? A lot of times when you're playing spring ball, even like at the high school level, 7-on-7, you're getting back into it, but not really because you're really in football shape. Whenever you got pads on, you're really hitting. This is kind of that first look into that.
Well, to lead things off with what I saw at training camp, I'm gonna look at the defense first. First off, I saw Skylar Cassidy, the new defensive coordinator, in action. Obviously running with the 4-2-5, a lot of nickel defense. That's something to be expected. By the way, Isaiah Cash, the Houston Christian transfer, is now in training camp, so he is active. He is going out there doing his thing as well. It looks like he's I don't know if he's like if he's a corner or if he's in the back as a safety, but it looks like he's a corner guy. But I think he might go into that other safety position. He might get moved around a little bit. I mean, that guy was all over the place at Houston Christian. Apparently, he played over um 2,000 snaps this past season. So he's all over the place. He a lot of tackles, a lot of tackling, that's for sure. But anyway, it's obvious what your corners are. It's going to be your starting corners. Otherwise, it's going to be Devon Armstead, who redshirted last year after transferring from TCU, and you have David Fisher on the other side. Looks like Devon's going to be coming your X receiver, and then Fisher's going to be covering your Y. That's at least what I saw. And then when it comes to your DBs, it looks like you'll be Jalen Jimerson. I think Escobar might be back there. I'm not too sure. Um, and I think Cash will be out there as well. You might see Nike Hawkins maybe, but I think that's the battle right there between Hawkins and Cash because they kept going switching spots. But I think your five DBs are settled. Your linebackers are also settled as well with Kavion Gaither. Trey Fields was the first linebacker that was out there as your as the strong side, I believe he was on. I was in a weird point of view. I probably should have been higher up just to be able to see the whole field, but it is what it is. I wanted to be close to the action just to see the details. And then I didn't see Isaiah Nixon participate in this training camp. Hopefully, it's nothing serious. Hopefully, it's just precautionary and nothing major. And your line in the D line, man, the D line is gonna be fun to watch. That New Mexico State transfer, Denver Warren, he's gonna be fun to watch. He's really strong. He really attacks the interior really well and clogs up and collapses the gaps. And then you got guys like Dylan Frazier and Quincy Wright and Javon Leon also doing their thing out there as well. Young guys on defense I saw that were really impressive were Keyshawn Raven, who's made the transition from wide receiver to defensive back. He had a pick six in that scrimmage, and so he looked pretty impressive. And Caleb Holloway looked pretty impressive as well. I liked him. Chanson Prox, he usually plays cornerback. The sophomore looked pretty impressive as well. Not else I can think of right now, unless you ask me a question. I can probably answer it for you, but overall, I think this defense is bound to be as good, if not better than last year. It's just going to be about if the offense can stay on the field so the defense can recover.
So Colin, obviously last year's biggest loss was going to be Trevor Williams. Standout, Mike linebacker, leader of the defense. We think it's going to be Gaither taking over that role.
Yes.
Okay. Very good.
Gaither is wearing the headset on defense.
He's got the green dot.
He's got the headset on defense because I don't know if that's always been a rule. I mean the headset, the way they change the rules every year, it all kind of bundles together because they came up with some new rules this year. Go ahead.
Okay. Have they changed the kickoff rule? I know they changed
Not
it in the NFL, but not in college, right?
not in college. It's still this old fashioned way.
Okay. Okay.
Thank God, because don't give me that what they got going in the NFL.
And so we talked a little about it on the Twitter space. What was that, 2 or 3 nights ago?
Yes.
Um, Jimerson,
Mm-hmm.
this transfer from Liberty, kind of talked to the people about who he is and kind of what kind of ball does he play and where you think he's going to fit in.
It looks like he's gonna be the nickel guy.
Okay.
That he might be he might be the top two safety. He might be one of the top two safety as well, but it seems like he's gonna be the nickel. But that's the base defense, so it's not like he's only going to be out there for a couple of plays. He's going to be out there quite a lot. But
Yeah.
you need that experience out there in the defensive on the defensive side of things. And I mean this was a guy that played in the Fiesta Bowl last year that has gotten a lot of experience on a winning team. So he not only brings an experience when it comes to playing as many years of college football, he also has that experience in being a part of a winning culture.
Yeah. And obviously that nickel corner, that nickel back, it's someone who's going to be has to be a really good tackler for being his size. He's going to be playing on that inside guy. I don't know who the nickel corner is for the Texans, but I know for the Cowboys, it was Deron Bland for a long time, and then Diggs got hurt, and then now it's back to Jordan Lewis. Those are two of your best tacklers, um, for us. So Jemerson's going to have to do that really well, and um, obviously with college football now being so pass heavy, and everyone's running uh, spread offenses and getting the ball out as quick as possible. That guy is going to have to be very valuable. He's got to play at a very high level for this defense. And what you think, to be as good, if not better, than last year. And we know this defense is good. We know the personnel um, from the D line all the way to the back safeties, right? We know uh, this unit has quality and has, a real presence about them. I mean, other teams all throughout last year would always talk, "Hey, this defense is really good." You know, you could go back on press conferences. People compliment Sam's our defense. That's where our highlight was. And if you think we can be just as good, if not better, that's really uplifting and something to look forward to.
And the thing with Jimerson as well, he could be going up the safety spot. Might be the strong guy because you mentioned tackling. Then Isaiah Cash, he had over 270 some tackles or whatever the number was, like some crazy a number uh over his time at Houston Christian. So obviously they brought him in for his tackling ability. So he might be the nickel, and then you move Jimerson up to the strong, or you have them rotate. I mean,
Yeah.
I like the lot. I do like the guys though that we have at defensive back. I think that group's gonna be just fine. It's just gonna be in the linebackers. You got experience with Nixon, Gaither, and Fields, and even Sincere Jackson, who would go in there as well. I just the D line was the main question because you lost guys like Chris Scott and Akeem Meatball Smith, and obviously you brought back Javon, but you need bigger guys on that interior. And I think you did that with Quincy Wright, with Quardale Pat, with Dylan Frazier, and with Denver Warren. And Denver Warren is going to be a guy to keep an eye on this year. And the defense just really won that first half, won most of the practice in the first half. I mean, the offense would drive down the field and got into the red zone a couple times, but they would always get stopped for the field goal.
Yeah.
Even
Which
and even like even on the 1 yard line when Hunter Watson was trying to run a sneak, and the defense stopped him right on the 1 yard line.
I guess he's just no trapper panel then, is he?
Oh man. Uh
Legend. So, you talk about this front. Um, and yes, we lost a lot of size. We lost a lot of guys that have been playing for the team a long time. Like Chris Scott. Chris Scott has been at Sam for a while, right? And now he's gone. Uh, but throughout these past episodes and on the Twitter space the other night, we talked about the strength and conditioning, how that was a huge emphasis um, from Keeler at Conference USA Media Day. What did you notice about that? Did you notice what you see and say, wow, these guys are a lot bigger and stronger than last year? Did you see that?
well, here's the thing. You bring in Denver Warren, New Mexico State transfer. He's been a part of an FBS strength and conditioning program. You also bring in Quincy Wright, who was at Oregon State. He was a part of that. You had Dylan Frazier as well at SMU. He was a part of that. These guys are tall, these guys are big, and they have the potential to be able to better close those run gaps because you got to stop. In my opinion, the key to this defense is to stop the run game, to force the QB to throw against this DB room. That's kind of how I see things.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, obviously every defense, stop the run. That's always kind of the first key there. And with this team and unit, I think that's got to be it too, right? We know the quality that these DBs have. We just talked about it, but you know, excuse me, Armstead's been really good, right? And he was good for us. How many games he played last year? Only a few.
Yeah, well, he only played 4 games and he got redshirted.
Yeah, but he was really good in those games. I mean, he was out there against or the BYU game. He was all over the place. I mean, he was making plays up and down the field. Um, but
I think he's going to be a guy that a lot of people are going to overlook as a returner because he brings that. He brings that experience in the Big 12 to Sam Houston, and you
yeah,
saw, and like you said, what did against BYU. I mean, it is really in hindsight's 2020, but it's probably going to be such a big brain move to have him play for the maximum 4 games last year, to have him redshirted, and to have him this year with the DB room we have.
well, and you talked about it before. You said this season uh, is probably the most crucial season ever in Sam Houston's history, right? And at the same time, this is the season I think where we have the most amount of questions that we know will get answered very quickly. Because last year we had a lot of questions um, about everything, right? Especially on the offensive side, but and even the year before in the transition years, We didn't really know who was going to play which games. Last year, um, it's always tough for a team first time really in FBS ball. This year is the microscope is on Sam Houston. A lot of people around the state of Texas are eyeing Sam Houston to see what this team can do, and that's uh, while it might be a little scary, it's also really really exhilarating and um, it gives you a lot of hope about this team and program.
Yeah, and the defense is built to bring that success this year for Sam Houston. But but obviously the bigger eyes, the eyes are much more wider and a lot more closer on the offense. This transition to the offensive side of the ball. Um, let's just go ahead and get the elephant out of the room. Everyone knows that the QB1 spot is the battle that everyone's keeping an eye on. It's pretty telling that it is between Jace Bauer and Hunter Watson. If you want my honest opinion, I think Jace Bauer is ahead right now because I thought he performed better than Hunter Watson in the drives that he had. And that's not a knock on Hunter Watson. Watson is a freak athlete. He can run really well. He can throw the ball. He has a good arm too, a decent arm. It's just that I think Bauer right now, if training camp were to end the day and we had to face Rice tomorrow on Saturday, you have to go with Jace Bauer. And I I think your depth chart is Bauer, Watson, Gunnell, Silas Gomez, and DJ Bailey. And that's not a knock on DJ Bailey either, because I'm probably gonna have why do you have DJ Bailey at the bottom? Well, I expect him to get redshirted this year so he can probably play 3 to 4 years of football, which we'll get more into him a little bit because he really trended a lot whenever his name was mentioned on the Twitter Spaces. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we'll get to him in a little bit. And he actually he impressed me a lot during the scrimmage as well because he had one drive in there. But I Luke, you and I already kind of we already had our mindset on the fact that Bauer is going to be your QB1, and then you had Watson go out there in certain packages, like kind of like a trapper panel, which I think it's a good idea at the end of the day because we saw what panel did for us over
Yeah.
the past few years. Um, right now though, I have Bauer as my QB1.
Yeah, and there's a couple ways to look at it. Um, Firstly, when a guy is transferring from Central Michigan to Sam Houston, he's probably not transferring to be a backup. Like that's just a lot of guys don't transfer schools to be a backup. A lot of times it's actually the opposite, right? They are the backup and they're going to transfer to be a starter. Well, in this case, he was a starter there last year and now he's coming here. So that whole thing kind of makes me think, okay, yeah, uh, Bauer will be our guy. But second of all, and we've talked about this. I mean, we're kind of beating this horse. Experience, right? He knows what the FBS schedule's like. He knows what it's like playing on midweek games, where a lot of guys, um, now the team has a little experience, but this guy's been there, right? He's played quarterback in those midweek games, so you got to help that too. Um, but also, and we talked about it before, recording, uh, Hunter Watson, he's jumping up, what, 3 levels of college football, 4 levels of college football,
Something
from
like that.
here.
Yeah.
I mean, JUCO all the way to, uh, Conference USA, FBS, Division I football. That's a huge jump. And it's no knock to the guy that maybe he's not the guy this year. Um, that's a huge adjustment. I mean, that's like going from middle school straight to college, straight to a sophomore, junior level class. I mean, that's a lot, right? Um, and one of the things that we talked about it, Dalton Meyer talked about it. I wouldn't be so sure if we don't see some packages with both Watson and Bauer back there. And dual, backwards pass situations, um, all sorts of goal line situations that you could see maybe both of them in, and you think, wow, Luke, that probably wouldn't work with 2 quarterbacks. But that's how athletic this quarterback room can be. We know Bauer can run. We've seen some film. We know he's not a bad runner. and Watson is really an athletic guy. So I'm sure with this whole new scheme and all these new um, this coaching staff, I wouldn't be so sure if we don't see something like that.
And it's not something you roll out all the time. A two QB system has only worked like once in history. I can't remember the team or the coach that implemented that. So, excuse me on that. It's again, it's not a knock on Watson. It's just the fact, like you said, that Bauer just has the experience, and I think Bauer beats out Watson when it comes to the arm talent as well. And you need especially with the receiver room we have right now.
Yeah.
I rather have the guy right now that can. I rather have the guy that has better arm talent. So
Yeah, it's very similar to a situation where um I think the more upside is probably with Hunter Watson. I think I would say you agree with it, with the higher upside
mhm.
being Watson, but as of right now, the better quarterback is Bauer. And you don't know the next time you're going to get an Ife Adei, who's been at this team so long. As Mr. Worldwide is texting me right now, wanting to be a guest. He is just blowing up my phone right now.
No, oh my
Anyways,
gosh.
but Noah Smith, the guys that have been around this program for years, you're not going to get that at this level, at this time in college football. You're just not going to get that. And so, for me, you just want to put the best, most ready quarterback. And a good way to look at it is if the season started next week, who's starting? It's Bauer.
It's Bauer. Yeah.
And so my thing when you look at it, Colin, you were there, you saw, and you can give your opinion. Who is it? Who would the offense look it was easier to run with?
It looked like Bauer because there was something that I believe it was Keeler that said you want Corn wants somebody out there that can, or no, it was Dalton. Actually, it was Dalton, I believe, that said this. Coach Cornelison, the offensive coordinator, wants somebody out there that can communicate, that can not just drive the offense down the field, but also be able to communicate back and forth with him during the action. And what they did, Luke, was run a lot of hurry up offense. They ran at quite a bit, and more often than they did last year. Like they would on the drive or two, but it wasn't really that much hurry up. They ran a lot of hurry up, and I thought not Watson, excuse me. I thought Watson controlled it pretty well too. I just think with Bauer, it just felt much. It looked and felt much smoother, in that Bauer knew what he wanted to do, especially on the last drive he did. He made a couple of great passes. It's just unfortunately he had there was two bad drops, like right into the pocket of a receiver, but they were just dropped. So I think Bauer can, and Bauer's been in that, and Bauer has said before on the Ankeny Fanatic podcast. It's from the podcast that's run by this guy that covers the Ankeny, Iowa high school sports down there, up there rather, I should say. And Bauer said that he loves the RPO spread offense that he runs. It's a bit of a different offense than Central Michigan, and I think and Bauer seems to be a bit more comfortable with that offense. Watson did a good job too. He was thinking on his feet. He knew if he had to run, he had to run, and they both did a good job of not always wanting to run first when there's adversity. They're still sticking to the game plan, but if all else fails, they both did a good job of bailing out and running for some yards. So, but I don't know. I probably would have to go out there once again next week to see the last scrimmage. I'm still debating if I want to go there or not, but I'm probably am going to, because I want to see if there's a difference in
Yeah.
how because um they might implement a different style of scrimmage, like more real in-game stuff like they want to run. They probably ran a lot of basic stuff up the playbook.
Yeah.
So as of right, but Bauer was the first quarterback out there, and he ran with a lot of the first team. I will say that. Take that for what it's worth.
Yeah. Still early though, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
Um, all we can do is report and give our thoughts on kind of what's going on, and um, we know Bauer's taking first team reps.
Yes.
And so keeping with the quarterback room column, we hinted at a little bit. Uh, of course, we'll get to TG Bailey here in a little bit, but also Gunnell and Gomez. What'd you kind of see through them? Um, any bright spots out of their performance?
Ganell has an arm. He just needs to learn to be more accurate. Like he missed a couple of simple 5 yard curl routes, which you can't be missing. Like, and I thought Gomez is actually pretty interesting. I kind of like Gomez. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Gomez beats out Ganell for that third spot on the depth chart. Because
He's
I thought Gomez looked pretty smooth out there. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna change my mind. I think it's gonna go Bauer, Watson, Gomez, Ganell, and Bailey. But I wouldn't be surprised if Ganell be. I at first want Ganell as my third guy because he has that experience because
yeah.
he's been everywhere. But I thought Gomez looked pretty solid out there for someone that doesn't play that for someone that is a guy that is seen on the outside looking in as a guy that's low in the depth chart.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I've heard a lot of things about Gomez. Some good, some bad. We kind of know what Gunnell's going to bring. But let's be honest, people aren't listening to see who the third string quarterback is. Um,
Yeah.
people really don't care about that.
No.
What people do care about is prospects and DJ Bailey. Apparently, this guy had some really good throws throughout last practice.
Oh man, I'll tell you what, Luke. He had one drive he had one drive and that ended the first half of the scrimmage. Man, he first throw he did, it was a post route to a fellow freshman, Marcus Field, right towards the sideline as he's rolling to his right, and it was just a beautiful throw, man. Like towards the sideline, not thrown behind him or anything, just in the right spot for a Field to like gather it, put his feet down, and then go out of bounds for a heck of a gain. Like they just moved so quickly down the field, and then couple plays later, they got to the 15-yard line, and then Bailey ran it in for 6 on that drive. Like, and the everyone went crazy. Like the offense was going crazy. Even the defense was like, "Wow, that was awesome." And man, that was a heck of a drive. And Bailey's really exciting, man. I'll tell you what, it's. I know a lot of people want to see him play this year. I understand, but it's going to be a process.
Mhm.
I'm 99% sure he is going to get redshirted this year. I'm so sure of it.
Yeah.
At the if and then they're like, well, he could transfer. Well, if he's going to transfer, then he's most likely going down to the FCS because there was no other FBS school that offered him. The only other 3 schools were Lamar, which is Southland FBS, Weber State, that's Big Sky, I believe, FCS, and I can't remember the other one. Whatever. I can't remember the other one. All I know it was FCS. So
Well,
yeah.
when you kind of look at EG Bailey, and it's when I say this, don't think of it as like he's this guy, like he's a comparison of this guy. Um, but if you remember the 2018 NFL draft, this was the draft with Josh Allen, um, Lamar Jackson, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. A lot of these guys that were drafted in the higher, Josh Rosen was in there in the higher portion. And you look back on it, okay, it was not a great, especially at the very top. Baker Mayfield, meh, but he was more viewed as NFL ready. Rosen was viewed as more NFL ready. Even Josh Allen was viewed a little more NFL ready than Lamar Jackson. But Lamar Jackson was viewed as, okay, this is the upside guy. He's a project. Um, this guy can be really big. And he sat right behind Flacco, right? Darnold was viewed as the same way. This is our NFL guy right now. He's ready to go. Jackson was not viewed at this. It could be kind of one of the situations where let DJ Bailey grow a little bit, let him bigger, stronger, leaner, faster, um, and, and kind of sit him just for a year for his own good, and then after that, see where it goes. Right? If he transfers, he transfers. Uh, the good thing is he is in the Bearcat orange, white, and black. He's with us, and the upside is there. We know he's a project, but the dude is incredible, and that's what's most important.
Yeah, I mean, he's a two-time state champion for a reason.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's and one of the reasons I thought of as to why maybe he wasn't looked high upon as other QBs. I mean, first of all, by the way, DeSoto is a 6A school. They're no joke.
incredible,
They beat
incredible.
they beat Duncanville this year and this past year and Willis. DJ Bailey, by the way, outdueled DJ Lagway, who is at Florida right now. And but a lot of people thought like, oh well, Bailey first of all is 5'11". He's not tall. He also had a 5-star receiver. I can't remember his name, and he also had other great receivers and also a great old line. And I'm like, okay, sure, you can see it as that, but at the end of the day, he was only a 3-star coming out of high school. So not and maybe in a lot of colleges were probably more focused on the guys around him rather than the man himself that ran that offense.
Mm.
And Luke, there is a lot of people that believe in him, or not just Sam Houston folk, but like a lot of Texas high school football people. They
Okay.
believe in him. You mentioned DJ Bailey once, they immediately everyone seems like they knows who they're talking about. Even down here, where I'm at in League City, I've got people ask me, "Hey, what about the y'all gonna play that DeSoto kid?" I'm
Yeah,
like, "How do y'all know him?"
Colin.
So
If you think about growing up, think about when you're watching high school football, when you're in elementary, middle school. Um, yes, North Shore and Duncanville were good. Colin, those weren't the teams. It was Cedar Hill, DeSoto, Cibolo Steel, um, Westlake, of course, Lake Travis. Those were the teams, Cedar Park and the 5A level. Those were the teams that were dominating. DeSoto is known for just putting out guys. I mean, there have been tons of really good athletes, and not just football. Calling basketball, Olympics are going on, track and field. DeSoto is a powerhouse. It's a South Dallas, just known to put out just absolute dudes, right? And now South Oak Cliff is kind of right there. They're at the 5A level, but they're kind of doing the same thing. This is a high school that wins a lot. And when you have a culture like that, a culture of winning, usually guys are going to be pretty good coming out of there. And maybe he's not ready. Maybe he's not ready this year. Maybe he's not ready the next year, right? But at some point, DJ Bailey's going to have a moment, uh, and that's going to be fun to watch because I know he's going to take full advantage of it. Guys who win back-to-back state championships, they don't just fall off the earth, especially in Texas.
at the end of the day, I think most people need to understand that it's a process. It's
Yeah,
it's it's a it's a you just got to be patient, and that's all on DJ as well to be patient with the process.
yeah,
It, I've never I mean I played football up till junior high, but I can sort of understand how you feel like you're ready, but you also got to know that you aren't ready at the same time. You got to develop. You got to learn a bit more. You got to get the offense down, especially and take it. And he's going to be learning under some guys that have experience, Jay Spower, Grant Neill, and also Hunter Watson. So he has guys that have all their own skill sets that he's going to be able to learn under for this year and next year as well.
yeah. I mean,
So
it's the Patrick Mahomes formula. Let him sit behind Alex Smith, right? And see what he does after that. Let him take the wheel after that. And we know how that's ended up. And it's kind of cliche because everyone talks about how great Mahomes is. And we know Mahomes is probably going to go down as the second greatest quarterback of all time. I mean, that's just kind of, I think, the process how it's going to go. He's no Brady. That's no question. But it's that kind of thing. And you're right. He's got to be patient. And so do we as fans, as covering the team, as just Texans, right? Watching Texas high school football, yeah, you want to see this guy do well, and he's going to. Uh, and right now, he's going to get redshirted, and his stock is going to be at an all-time low. Buy, 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 buy his stock right now because he is going to be awesome.
Let's now go ahead and transition outside the QB room and look at the other positions on the offensive side of the ball. Taking a look at the guys that are responsible for protecting the quarterback, the O line. I will. It's pretty set. I mean, it's pretty set in my opinion. I think it's going to be right tackle Orion Irving, right guard James Don the second. Obviously, your center is going to be Ethan Hagler. I could, from my point of view, and because the jerseys are like they're kind of fading a little bit. It's also white on orange. You would think that you could read it, but with the practice jerseys, it looked kind of hard. It was kind of hard to read. I know your left tackle was Colt Dietrich, if I at some points, if I remember correctly, but I couldn't tell who that left guard was. It might be Mark Kendrick Beal as your left guard, but I think that the offensive line looks bigger. It's just a matter of fact what is it going to look like in that first game of the season against Rice? Will they be able to get by Bauer or whoever's behind center more time? And I mean, Luke, we saw it quite a lot. That run game was just stopped many times because the offensive line just kept getting overwhelmed by the physicality of an FBS defensive line. And I know we keep beating that horse, but it is a big topic it has been a big topic of discussion in the offseason and heading into the Bearcats second season FBS ball.
Yeah, yeah, and it's kind of to talk about because um, you just don't really know with a lot of times the offensive line, they're going up against the same guys day in, day out. And of course that's for every position, but um, O line and D line, very, very technical, yet also very powerful positions, right? You're not gonna make it if you're not strong, but it's a lot of it's technique. And we'll see what these guys can do once we get into the regular season schedule, right? Once we get to that first game. It's kind of one of those things where yes, there's a lot to look forward to, but you don't really know what they're going to do. Hagler's probably going to be the leader, right, of the team
Oh
of
yeah,
this
absolutely.
unit. I mean, he's our best O lineman, and um, a lot of times, you don't really see the center being the best O lineman because a lot of times the center is probably your most unathletic of the group, but also or like the weakest. But the center's got to be very smart. And the center, if your center's really good, I mean, you see it in high school, you see it in college NFL. I mean, Jason Kelce for the Eagles, right? Jason Kelce is probably the best center in the NFL. There's a reason why that Eagles line was so good, right? For the Cowboys for a long time, Travis Frederick was a probably the best center in the league. There's a reason why their O line was that good. Uh, when your center is good, your O line's going to be pretty good. I mean, that's just
Well,
kind of the rule of the thumb.
if any of y'all watch any of y'all go watch a full game of the NFL, the quarterback's always most likely talking to the center first,
Yeah. Your
and
center's given all the alerts.
he's pointing to identify either the mic or identify someone that's going to blitz or point or whatever kind of lingo that I personally don't know a lot of the lingo that teams use to identify certain defenders and what their assignments could be, but they're always in that film room watching that what the box defenders do because that's all they're worried about. They're not necessarily too worried about the defensive backs unless they see a,
Yeah.
a blitzing strong safety or a blitzing free safety or there's a corner on one side doing a corner blitz, but they're more worried about. I would think that they're more worried about the guys in the box. So they're looking at the line, looking at the linebackers, and
Oh,
you need to.
they're calling out double teams, saying,
Yes,
"Look, we got to cover this guy who's filling up the B gap. Okay, me and the right guard, right? A gap, B gap, whatever. We're gonna have to double this guy." Uh, they're calling slides. They're calling all these different things. That's what the center's all about. And when you have a guy that's experienced, he's been in this position for multiple years. Ethan Hagler, I think, is a 3-year starter.
I believe so.
I think that's right. If not, it might be even more. But that's the guy who's calling it out. And who else would you want in all these key positions for the Bearcats, right? For Sam, there's experience in a lot of these positions. The only one, is probably a middle linebacker, but then you're getting Gaither right there, who's been with this team for a long time and has started a lot of games, right? He's a national champion. Um, and all these key positions, you have someone who has a ton of experience, who's calling out, who's got to be vocal, who's got to be a leader. That's what I'm kind of excited about. That's why I think this team has a really high floor.
And moving on, you to the still keeping it on the line, but a different position nonetheless, the tight end spot. Also bringing back some experience. Elijah Sohn is your runaway tight end one, but you also brought in guys like Austin Smith and Fernando Garza the third, with Austin Smith coming from Memphis and Fernando Garza coming from Texas A&M. Right now, I think that room looks like it's Sohn, Garza, Smith, and Cooper Stevens, a freshman. There's some other tight end. I think there's another tight end that I just can't think of right now. Honestly, Luke,
Collin,
I was out there trying to quiz myself on the numbers, and I was like, okay, that's Prox, that's Orion Irving, that's Devon, obviously, and that's Cash, that's Jim. Like, I'm trying to quiz myself, and there's some numbers that I just cannot seem to remember. So forgive me if I say a wrong guy that did this. Forgive me.
but
I was
you know what?
I was
Once we get into the season, that'll come very quickly.
Yeah, it will. But anyway, back what I was saying. The tight end room looks pretty impressive this year. Dalton Meyer said it himself. It's the deepest. It's probably one of the best tight end rooms that Sam Houston has ever seen. Garza caught a touchdown from Bauer. That was the first offensive touchdown of the scrimmage. It was just a nice little out or post route. Inside the red zone, the defender fell down and Garza was wide open, and Bauer just put it right into Garza's hands pretty beautifully. It was a nice pass. Garza was just wide open. So
Was he going across the middle or was he going to the sideline?
no, he was on the right side of the offense, and I don't know. I couldn't tell from my point of view if he was cutting straight to the if he was cutting straight to the goalpost and then going outside.
It's like a corner.
It's a corner route. That's right. See, that's another
Okay.
thing I get confused. What's a post route? What's a corner route? A post route, now I think of it, is a route that goes
To the
towards the goalpost.
goalpost.
That's what I need to remember now. So it was a
Colin,
corner route.
Colin, you
Excuse
got to
me.
get to the John Gruden, the quarterback camp. So you got to go watch.
Now listen here. A spider two wide banana is an offensive play that the Bearcats need to run. Coach Corn, he needs to run that. No,
Yeah.
not
Have you
not X not Xbox 460.
have you seen the clip where he's like on his phone and he's watching film. He's like, I have no life. I'm watching film from the Super Bowl 30, whatever it was, right? It was the
Oh my
Buccaneers
god.
Raiders when he won it. And he's doing the fantasy football draft order for one of his old people used to coach. It was the fullback, and he's talking about it. He's like, "What's this?" And he starts going to film breakdown in the middle of it. It is hilarious. It's so
I
funny.
need I don't
I'll
think
have,
I've ever seen that. I need to
I'll have
watch
to
that
send it
now.
to you. I'll have to send it to you. It's hilarious. Darian Barnes smashes this guy. It's hilarious. So funny.
Uh I saw a thing where NFL GMs are basically paid fantasy football managers, because there was like a video on
That's
Hard
that's
Knocks with that's there's a video on Hard Knocks with the Giants, and like the GMs are like talking to each other. um,
that's not accurate at all, but it's also so accurate. I mean, it's the clip wherever it's Dable and he's talking. What do you think about Burns? How about just like draft picks? He just lists draft picks, and the guy's like, maybe. It's just these guys are, what a job these guys have. I mean, it's so stressful, but it's so fun.
it's kind of like your own. It is literally your own little fantasy football team at
Yeah.
the end of the day. But anyway,
Oh,
back to us talking about.
quick rant time. That was a quick
Uh,
rant time.
yeah, praise thy rant, praise thy rant.
Praise thy rant. Okay, first of all, praise thy rant. The cow Jerry Jones saying that he's not in any mood to sign CD Lamb. My God.
I'm sure
I'm
there's a lot of Dallas Cowboys fans that are Sam Houston alumni that would agree with you, Luke.
Come on, Jerry, sign the man. He's that good. Anyways,
Anyways, but the tighter room's pretty set, Luke. I mean, they're not just gonna have to receive the ball; they have to also be able to block. Because I still think the offensive line could use that sixth blocker, especially on run plays.
yeah, and a lot of times, your second, third tight ends, those guys, especially at the college level, you're not going to have many tight ends that are super dynamic in the passing game. A lot of times, they're going to be good blockers. That can offer you something, of course, catching the ball and making plays, but these guys are extensions of the O line, and that's what you want most. Obviously, Sohn is that guy to be your pass catcher, uh, over the middle of the field, right? Taking big hits but making big plays. Um, those other guys filling in the gaps where Sohn's not. That's what you want. And I think Fernando Garza, A&M transfer, he's a big guy. I think he's going to do very well in that second, third position, where he's going to be in a lot of sets, um, a lot of 12 personnel. He's going to be in there. Hell, maybe even 13 personnel. I don't know if we're going to run three tight ends, but we might.
Maybe a goal line situation.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And maybe you can run a sneaky play action, or do like a backwards, like a read option, like you have Bauer or whoever or you have Watson in the backfield, and you have Ducker, Gentry, or Bocek, and they run a
Well,
read option, and then
well,
they toss it, but then you see a tight end like sneak through that defensive line, no one sees him, boom, easy touchdown.
maybe did you see any goal line sets and who was that fullback? Do we know?
I couldn't tell. Again, the
Because that might
numbers were sometimes hard to tell.
that might be what he is, right? I
Yeah,
mean, any of them.
yeah,
Maybe not
absolutely.
Son, but because I don't think we have a registered fullback on the roster.
No, we don't. I've
We got to
checked.
get one of those. We got to get one of those.
Hey, fullbacks are a thing in football to stay. They're never gonna die. That's all
I
I
don't
gotta
know.
say.
They're pretty close to dying, Colin.
Pretty close, but I think they have a place.
I mean,
They have a
Garza is
place.
6'6", 260, Colin. If anyone's gonna be him, it's gonna be him. 6'6". Wow.
Man, but now that we kind of mentioned it, the run game. Uh, what was interesting is that I I saw a lot of Ducker. I saw a lot of DJ McKinney. I don't think I saw Urbacek or Gentry. And I don't think that's an injury thing. I think they maybe just wanted to give Ducker a lot of reps because he's new, and that Gentry and Urbacek already know the offense really well.
Yeah, maybe.
So, but Ducker looked pretty impressive. It's like he knew exactly which gap to run into in order to break off for 3 or 4 yards. Because here's the thing, Luke, you don't always have to have a long running play. I mean, in my opinion, if you get at least 3 to 4 if you get at least 3 to 4 yards, that's the goal of each run play, or almost each run play. You don't have to always go for the big one. If you get at least 3 to 4 yards to set up the pass, or just keep running the football. I mean, because last year it seemed like the running
Five
backs
yards to carry,
always
Colin. 5 yards to carry.
5 yards. I'm trying
Three
not to be.
yards. 3 yards. That's like washed up Zeke.
You didn't have to do them like that.
I did.
Yeah. Okay.
Still love. I still
Okay.
love Elliott. I
Fine.
still love Zeke.
I'll go with your logic then. 5 yards. 5 yards is the goal.
Yeah, of course.
But the thing is like it's the running backs last year seemed to always get stopped, just to get stopped up on the line. So that's why I'm saying the goal is to hopefully to that 3 yard, get that 3 yard game more often than not. But obviously you want to try to get 5 yards or more
Was
on
he
that.
fast? Was Ducker fast?
I mean, I'm not a good judge when it comes to speed. Like I don't.
Was he faster than Desmond Jackson? Remember, he was slow.
Yes, he is faster than Desmond Jackson. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So, but well, I mean, Ducker has that FBS experience as well. When he was at NIU, and at Memphis. He didn't play a lot. He didn't play a lot last year at Memphis. So maybe he can hopefully he can find that magic he had at Northern Illinois when he was with the
Yeah.
Huskies. So,
Yeah.
but I can't really give you a good idea what the running back room, the depth chart at least will look like. But I wouldn't be surprised if I saw Ducker's name on that depth chart when it first comes out in a few weeks.
Yeah. I forgot he went to NIU.
His journey's crazy. He's from Omaha, Nebraska, Northern Illinois, then to Memphis, then all the way down south in Huntsville, Texas.
There's a very distinct Mac presence in this team, man.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
I like this. Although no Miami, Ohio guys. I was kind of hoping we'd get a Miami, Ohio guy, but
Go
we'll
Red
see.
Hawks. Go Red
That's
Hawks.
right. That's right. They were awesome last year. But I mean, this was also a hold on. I can look this up. I'm pretty sure he was named Mac Freshman of the Year, though.
Yes, I believe he was. I believe you are
It
right. I
was
mean,
him. It was someone. Maybe no, it wasn't. It wasn't Bauer, was it?
no. It wasn't Bauer. No. It wasn't Bauer because Bauer
Yeah.
got redshirted. Bauer got redshirted his freshman year, played a little bit in his sophomore redshirt or not sophomore, his redshirt freshman season, and then this past season for Bauer was his redshirt sophomore season. So he's a redshirt junior this year.
Yeah. 5.3 yards per carry, 98.7 per game. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Well, see, the thing is, Ducker didn't start a lot in the a lot of the first half of the season, and he got more as the season went on. So he got a lot of that production when he got more playing time. So maybe he finds that magic again this year for Sam Houston, and we really need it for sure to open up that passing game,
Yeah.
which
Well,
turns us to
him and Gentry are probably going to be the 1-2.
yes, and maybe Urbachek's your third down guy.
Maybe. I think I just see more of Herbacek as a special teams returner. I mean, we know how fast Herbacek is super quick, and he had some pretty good returns. I don't know,
We'll
but
see.
you'd rather have. I mean, it's these are good problems to have. We got a lot of players right in that position that we know that we think can produce.
Yeah, it's a problem, but a good problem.
Yeah.
And but and another position group that has that is the wide receiver room, because you have Ife Day back. It was nice to have him back. You got Noah Smith. Those are your two guys, and you'll also get I finally get to see Quavez Humphreys in action. And at first it was a little shaky, but then as the scrimmage went on, he made a couple nice catches.
He's a big guy. He's 6'2", 6'3", isn't he?
Yes, he he's like he's a guy that he's a big guy, but he can run as well.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
And that's a product of the strength and physicality that the Bearcats have worked on. So
And I mean, do you think he's going to be a
I
starter? I mean, I doubt. I mean, it's probably going to be what a Day E. Smith, Simeon Evans,
and probably and Michael Phoenix in there as well, the Kilgore
Phoenix.
transfer.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Because I mean, remember last year, as the games got on, Simeon Evans got friend of the program, but I mean, he got a lot more playing time. Uh, you know, as each game progressed, really, and played pretty well.
I think Simeon's gonna be a really nice wild card to have for the receiving room.
Yeah.
He broke a few ankles in that scrimmage game, and that was so awesome to watch. Like he has the ability to turn a simple 5 yard pass play on a slant route until like a trim into like you get the offense in the red zone. Like he can flip the script really quickly on the drive if he has that potential. But obviously
Okay.
the big deal is having a day back. That's for sure.
Okay, Colin, I got a little game we're fixing to play.
Oh gosh.
I just
Okay.
kind of came up with this.
Kinda.
I'm gonna give you a couple predictions, and I want you to give an answer to a couple questions, I should say, and you give your prediction.
All right. Bring it.
Offensive MVP for Sam Houston.
Offensive MVP, I will say if I'm gonna say Ife. I think he has a breakout season. I think well, not breakout, but like I think he has a tremendous season.
Defensive MVP.
I'm gonna go with Isaiah Nixon.
Wow. Explain that. Explain that.
Well, he's getting a lot of traction. He was named to the Dan Campbell's Texas football top 50 players in Texas. And I think with defenses so worried about Gaither being being that guy at Mike, they're gonna forget about Nixon. And Gaither has been obviously getting a lot of the attention in the media and all that when it comes to the bigger stuff. But Nixon being that edge rusher and how he did last year, Nixon's bound to make QB's lives a nightmare.
Okay. Okay. Biggest surprise.
Biggest surprise, I think. Gosh, I think Denver Warren's going to surprise a lot of people on the D line, but I would say another candidate would be Isaiah Cash. I think people are going to be surprised by him too. And if you want an offensive guy that's going to be surprising, I'll say, I will say, God, it's between either Quavez or Jay Ducker. I think Quavez has a bigger upside to surprise a lot of people. So
Most likely to get drafted.
I think I think
Drafted or sign and stick to a team.
I think Hagler, Garrett
Center.
Hagler, yeah, but Dalton Meyer also
Ethan Hagler.
yeah, Ethan Hagler, excuse me. But Elijah Sohn is has been said as a draft as an NFL caliber tight end by Dalton Meyer, so he could not just get drafted. He may not get drafted maybe, but he'll definitely get signed, I think. And
Okay.
on the defensive side, I don't know anybody that would be draft capable on that part. I haven't heard anything about anybody being draft capable except for Isaiah Cash. Apparently, there's been a couple of prospect reports on him that I saw like going over the Twitter spaces and on the internet. So,
And who has the better year?
what do you mean?
Brad, OC, Brad Cornelson, or the DC, Skylar Cassidy?
The offense has improved, but I think the defense is going to have a better year still. But that's not knocking the offense because I think the offense improved.
Okay. That's all I got.
Yeah.
That was my little game. I just threw
What
at
do
you.
you call it?
Predictions? I don't know.
Well, but yeah, that's kind of all I gathered when it comes to to training camp. That's at least what I can think of, and that's how my brain processed it all.
All right, cool. Cool.
Yeah, but
I think this year I like a lot of your picks. I think this is going to be the Noah Smith season.
mm, okay. I just pick
Just
Ife. I just pick Ife because he didn't play a lot. He obviously he didn't play a lot last year,
yeah.
but now that he's back, and I think he's very hungry. I think he's hungrier more than ever to show out. And he's
Mm,
been through it all with Sam Houston. And the conference doesn't really know a whole lot about him to begin with because
yeah.
he didn't play in the conference game.
Yeah, it's weird. The conference doesn't know a lot about him, but there's a lot of tape on him
Mm-hmm.
out there because he's just been around. I mean, he's like a 12th year senior.
12th year senior.
Not really, but
Oh my god. Oh my goodness, man.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I just think Noah Smith. I just think a guy it's can literally you can put him in you can put him outside, you can put him inside, you can put him in the backfield. in motion. I feel like he's the wild card here, I think.
Let's see here. Uh, right. I think that I don't really have anything else. I was making sure I didn't put any notes on my phone because sometimes I do that and I forget. But yeah, I that's all I really got, Luke. I like you said, I think it's gonna be fun. It is gonna be fun to say the least to see what we got. I'm
You, you want to talk about the progressions with the stadium?
Oh yeah, that's right. The turf is being laid down right now as we speak. Hopefully it gets completed the week of August 19th, so that way they have a week of practice normalcy, is a word I would say. Being able to practice on that field. And the thing is, Luke, right now, Rice is having some issues with their playing turf as well, because their playing turf was apparently deemed unsafe to play on in Rice Stadium. So they're going to have to do a turf replacement. And we're 21, no, 22 days away from the season beginning at Rice Stadium
Wow.
for Sam Houston. So can
Wow.
they, if it's just a turf replacement, they should be able to get that done. I mean, it's also Rice; they have the money, so I don't know. It's gonna be pretty interesting because even one delay happens or two, then it's gonna be like, are they gonna be able to play at Rice Stadium to begin
They
the
would probably
season?
just come to Sam. They'd probably just come to Sam.
And then it's not a home and home though. I don't think.
No, but they're not gonna spend a bunch of money to go play at a neutral site. They'll just come play at Sam.
Yeah. Then Sam Houston will probably have to return the favor sometime in the future.
Exactly. Yeah, probably.
I could see that working. And if that's the case, Luke, then Sam Houston has an advantage
Yeah, it's more money, more revenue, right? So,
potentially.
and the new press box renderings, I really this new press box image, it's been approved. The construction's been approved by the Texas State Board.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's obviously the same people who built the dormitories on campus. It's a very similar structure, and I think that's what they want. They want a similar identity from athletics all the way to residential halls, all the buildings on campus. Uh, there's been some mixed reviews there on social media, mostly really good. Colin, I'm just happy they're building something, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and not a lot of people that listen to this podcast have been up in that press box. I'll just say that.
It's historic. It's a historic press box.
Oh, it's historic. It's historic. I mean, a lot of people forget how old that stadium is. It was built back in 1986,
Mm,
so
yeah,
it's an old stadium. It's an old press box, and also uh, another part of athletics that's getting redone. Softball is getting their turf. The grass has been finally dug out. There's pictures of it on the social media outlet for Sam Houston softball. You can go check those out. But that project's also getting started, so they'll probably, I'm sure they're eyeing for that turf to be done before right around October, so they can have fall games there. If not, they're probably going to do fall games at other places. So, Luke, I'll tell you what, man, Sam, we're Sam Houston's got a long way to go, but the facilities are starting to look on the up and up.
that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, and it's not going to happen overnight. This is years and years of projects. Um, but it feels like the funding is there from the state of Texas, from the Texas State University system. I
Yeah,
guess the Board of Regents. I don't know. But the support's there from the athletic office, uh, top down, right? From Bobby all the way down to the student workers. Um, it's good. This is good. This is progress. This is what we want to see. We don't want Sam Houston to be the bottom of the barrel when it comes to talking facilities. We want to be at the top. We want to be really nice. That's what we want to how to attract uh, not just prospects, but for athletics, but just students, right, in general, and to get Huntsville more involved with the university. It all plays in accordance to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Well, Luke, I'm happy to wrap it up right there, my man. This has been a long podcast episode. We will be releasing a video sometime next week before Sam Houston Soccer opens their season up against Stephen F. Austin, or as some people call it, Sam Houston North. So, but it's if y'all haven't already, please check out all the burner accounts on Sam Houston Sports. That's just hilarious.
Side topic, side quest, real quick. Have you
Yeah.
seen the what's happened with SFA, the Axe?
Oh yeah, Texas A&M Commerce stole the axe.
Is
Apparently,
that the new rival?
I guess so.
How the mighty Jacks have fallen, man.
Even though it should be well, the Northwestern State was the rival, but they changed that trophy up or whatever. They changed like the rivalry. I don't know. I don't know what has happened with that. But anyway, Luke, I'm happy to end it on that. It's been a long podcast episode. We talked a lot of football, and just the FYI to end it all right here. I am not an expert, so don't take it. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. Anyway, Luke, that does it for us. Is there anything else you want to say now that you're an official Sam Houston alum?
Just a proud member of the Alumni Association now, I guess. As are you. As are you. We're proud alumni.
Yeah. Yeah.
We might have to find our way at the alumni tent one year. One game this year.
Yeah, for sure. This podcast now has 2 alumni and no longer an alumni, me and a student, Luke.
We can go hang out with all the unks, over there at the tent.
For real. Well, that was Luke Scott. I'm Collin Neill. This has been another episode of the Sam Houston Sports Talk podcast. We'll see you next time. Keep a lookout for these next couple of weeks as we build up to the beginning of Sam Houston's second year in FBS football. As always, eat 'em up, cats, and be sure you like and subscribe to the Sam Houston Sports Talk YouTube channel today.
Eat 'em up.